Jake Morrison stepped off the transport shuttle and into the largest space station he had ever seen. The metal walls stretched high above his head, disappearing into shadows that seemed to go on forever. Strange lights blinked in patterns he could not understand. The air smelled different here, like metal and something sweet that made his nose twitch. Captain Lisa Grant walked beside him, her blue uniform clean and pressed. She had been chosen to lead this mission because she could stay calm under pressure. Behind them followed Sam Parker, a scientist who studied alien life forms. He carried a small computer that recorded everything they saw and heard. "Remember," Lisa said quietly, "we are the first humans these aliens have ever met. Everything we do here will shape how they think about our entire species." Jake nodded. As Earth's ambassador, he knew the weight of this moment. 3 months ago, alien ships had appeared in Earth's solar system. Instead of attacking, they had sent a message in perfect English. "We invite you to join the Galactic Council." The message had shocked every government on Earth. The aliens had learned human languages by listening to Earth's radio and television signals for decades. They knew about human wars, human art, and human dreams. But they had never met a real human face-to-face. Now Jake, Lisa, and Sam walked through corridors filled with beings that looked like nothing from Earth. Some creatures floated in the air on wings that sparkled like glass. Others crawled on multiple legs that clicked against the metal floor. A few looked almost like humans, but their skin was blue or green or covered in scales. "The council chamber is just ahead," said their guide, a tall being with 4 arms and eyes that glowed yellow. Its name was Kextar, and it belonged to a race called the Vextar. "Please prepare yourselves. Some of our members have never seen a species from a Class 12 Deathworld." Sam looked up from his computer. "What exactly is a Class 12 Deathworld?" Kextar stopped walking. Its 4 eyes blinked in what might have been surprise. "You do not know? Your planet Earth scores higher on the danger scale than any world we have ever found. The fact that intelligent life developed there is considered impossible by most scientists." The massive doors to the council chamber opened with a soft hiss. Inside, hundreds of alien beings sat in curved rows that formed a giant circle. At the center was a platform where visitors could speak to the entire council. As the 3 humans walked toward the platform, conversations stopped. Every eye, antenna, and sensor turned toward them. Jake heard whispers in languages that sounded like music, clicking, or wind through trees. "They are so small," said one voice, that the translator in Jake's ear changed to English. "But look at their muscle density," said another. "How do they carry such weight?" "Their planet must have incredibly strong gravity," a third voice added. Lisa stepped forward first. "Honored members of the Galactic Council, I am Captain Lisa Grant of the human exploration vessel Terra Nova. We come in peace, seeking friendship and knowledge." A creature that looked like a giant crystal rose from its seat. When it spoke, its voice rang like bells. "I am Primary Tone Zephyr 9 of the Zephyrian Collective. We have studied your world from a distance for many years. We must ask, how is life possible on your planet?" Sam opened his computer and began showing images on the large screen behind them. Pictures of Earth appeared. Hurricanes spinning over vast oceans, lightning splitting dark skies, volcanoes pouring fire into the air. "This is normal weather on our world," Sam explained. "These storms happen every year. Our people have learned to live with them A ripple of shock went through the chamber. Several aliens made sounds that the translator could not convert to words. The crystal being spoke again. Your oceans contain salt levels that would kill most plants we know. Your atmosphere has oxygen levels that would cause fires to burn out, of control on our worlds. And yet you show us that millions of species live in these conditions? Billions, Jake corrected. Our planet supports more different forms of life than any world we know about. An alien that looked like a giant insect stood up. Its voice buzzed like angry bees. I am Hive Mind 6th of the Krex Empire. We have conquered 47 worlds. None of them had conditions as harsh as what you describe. How does your species fight wars in such an environment? Lisa exchanged a glance with Jake. This was a dangerous question. We prefer peace, she said carefully. But when we must defend ourselves, we adapt to whatever conditions we face. Show them the footage from the Antarctic base, Sam whispered. Sam brought up a video of human scientists working in Antarctica. The aliens watched in silence as humans worked outside in temperatures that would freeze most alien blood in seconds. They saw humans diving under ice, climbing mountains in blizzards, and living in places where no plants could grow. Impossible, breathed a creature with tentacles instead of arms. Those temperatures would kill any of us in minutes. That is just winter on one part of our planet, Jake explained. Humans live in every climate on Earth, from the hottest deserts to the coldest mountains. Kextar leaned forward. What do your people eat to survive in such conditions? Sam showed pictures of human food. We eat plants and animals from both land and sea. Some of our food would be toxic to other species, but our bodies can process it safely. They are poison eaters, someone whispered. No, said a new voice. A slug-like creature with beautiful patterns on its skin had spoken. They are survivors. I am Contemplation of Deep Waters from the Thoughtful Collective. We have studied evolution on many worlds. These humans represent something we have never seen before. The crystal being chimed softly. What do you mean? Most intelligent species develop on worlds that are stable and safe. We grow smart because we do not need to grow strong. But these humans come from a world that tried to kill them every day. They had to become both smart and strong to survive. The chamber fell silent. Jake could feel hundreds of alien minds trying to understand what this meant. Finally, Kextar spoke. We will need time to discuss what we have learned today. You have shown us things that challenge everything we know about life in the galaxy. We understand, Lisa said. We are willing to answer any questions you have. As they left the chamber, Jake heard the aliens talking in excited voices. Some sounded afraid. Others sounded curious. A few sounded like they were making plans. Walking. Back through the corridors, Sam looked at his computer readings. Did you see their body scans? Most of them would die if they were on Earth for more than a few hours. And now they know it, Lisa said quietly. The question is, what will they do with that knowledge? Commander Alex Turner looked out at the red surface of the volcanic moon and smiled. The alien scientists had called this place mildly challenging. To them, the rivers of lava and poisonous gas clouds made it nearly impossible to visit. To Alex, it looked like an interesting weekend camping trip. Are you certain you want to do this? Asked Dr. Veltar, the lead alien scientist. The insect-like being's wings buzzed nervously as it spoke through the communication system. No species has ever survived on Flame Moon for more than 6A, Hours. Dr. Nina Rodriguez checked her equipment one more time. As the mission's chief scientist, she would be recording everything that happened. We appreciate your concern, Dr. Veltar, but humans have lived in similar conditions on Earth for thousands of years. Behind them, Marine Sergeant Pete Jackson was helping his team prepare their gear. The 5 Marines looked relaxed, almost bored. They had trained in volcanoes, deserts, and Arctic conditions back on Earth. This moon was dangerous, but not impossible. The eye. Surface temperature is hot enough to melt most metals, Dr. Veltar continued. The air contains chemicals that would burn your lungs. The ground itself might collapse into lava pits without warning. Engineer Tom Brady finished checking the environmental suits. These suits will protect us from the worst of it, he said. But honestly, we have places on Earth that are almost this bad. Humans work in active volcanoes all the time. Medic Kate Sullivan looked up from her medical kit. We have treated burns, chemical exposure, and heat exhaustion before. Our bodies are designed to handle extreme stress. The alien observation team watched in amazement as the humans stepped out of their shuttle onto the volcanic surface. Instead of moving carefully and slowly like most species would, the humans spread out and began exploring with confidence. Pete Jackson led his Marines toward a ridge of black rock. The ground beneath their feet cracked and hissed, releasing small puffs of poisonous gas. The Marines simply adjusted their air filters and kept walking. Incredible, whispered Dr. Veltar. They move as if this environment poses no threat at all. Nina Rodriguez was taking samples of the volcanic soil when the ground began to shake. A warning alarm sounded in her suit as sensors detected an approaching lava flow. Instead of panicking, she calmly finished collecting her sample and walked to higher ground. "Human team, please evacuate immediately," came the urgent voice from the alien observation ship. "Our sensors show a major eruption beginning." Tom Brady was standing near what looked like a small volcano. "I can see it," he replied calmly. "It's beautiful. The lava flow will miss us by at least 50 meters. 50 meters is far too close." Dr. Veltar's voice was high with panic. "You must leave now." "Relax," Pete said over the radio. 50 meters is plenty of room. We've got this." The aliens watched in horror as the humans continued their work while lava flowed nearby. Steam and poisonous gases rose from the molten rock. But the humans seemed unbothered. They worked for 6 more hours, collecting samples and mapping the area. When they returned to the shuttle, Kate Sullivan checked each team member for injuries. "A few minor burns, some dehydration, nothing serious," she reported. The second test took place on a planet with gravity 3 times stronger than Earth's. Most alien species would be crushed flat by the intense pull, unable to even stand up. The humans landed, put on special weight suits, and began jogging. "This is excellent training," Alex Turner said as he led his team across the heavy gravity landscape. "It's like having a full-body workout while we explore." The alien scientists could hardly believe what they were seeing. The humans were not just surviving the crushing gravity. They were running, jumping, and even playing games in their spare time. Tom Brady set up equipment to study the planet's geology. The tools weighed 3 times more than normal, but he lifted them easily. "The extra weight makes the work harder," he said, "but humans are used to carrying heavy loads." On the third test world, acid rain fell from purple clouds while predatory plants tried to grab anything that moved. The aliens called it the Garden of Death and used it to dispose of toxic waste because nothing could survive there. The humans set up a base camp and lived there for a week. The acid rain is annoying, Nina Rodriguez reported, but our suits handle it fine. The plants are actually pretty interesting once you understand their behavior patterns. Pete Jackson and his Marines had figured out how to avoid the grabbing plants by moving in patterns the plants could not predict. It's like dodging traffic in New York City, he explained. You just have to pay attention and stay alert. Kate Sullivan had even found ways to use some of the planet's toxic plants for medicine. Many of our Earth medicines come from poisonous plants, she said. These alien plants work the same way. After each test, the alien scientists became more and more amazed. Species that had ruled the galaxy for thousands of years could not survive in places where humans felt comfortable. How is this possible? Dr. Veltar asked during the final debriefing. Your species should not exist. The laws of evolution say that no intelligent life can develop under such harsh conditions. Alex Turner thought about this question carefully. Maybe the laws are wrong, he said finally. Or maybe they don't apply to every world. Earth taught us that life always finds a way, Nina added. When conditions are hard, life becomes harder. When the environment is dangerous, life becomes more dangerous. Your species fascinates and terrifies us, Dr. Veltar admitted. If humans can survive in conditions that kill everything else, what does that make you? Tom Brady smiled. It makes us human. The test results were sent to the Galactic Council immediately. Within hours, emergency sessions were called on dozens of worlds. Some aliens saw the humans as potential allies who could help them explore dangerous parts of the galaxy. Others saw them as a threat that needed to be controlled or eliminated. But all of them understood one thing. The galaxy had changed forever. For the first time in galactic history, a species had emerged that could not be judged by normal standards. Kate Sullivan was reading the medical data when she made a disturbing discovery. Alex, she called to the commander. You need to see this. What is it? The alien physiological data. According to these readings, a healthy human child could survive longer in these test environments than a trained adult alien in a protective suit. Alex stared at the data. Are you saying that our children are tougher than their soldiers? That's exactly what I'm saying. And if we figured this out, so will they. The implications were staggering. If human children were more resilient than alien adults, what did that say about human soldiers? What did it say about humanity's place in a galaxy full of species that had never faced real hardship? As their ship headed back to the space station, the human team knew they had started something that could not be stopped. The galaxy was about to learn what happened when a species evolved in hell decided to reach for the stars. Emma Clark stood before the Galactic Council with a thick folder of documents in her hands. As Earth's chief political representative, she had spent weeks preparing for this moment. The council chamber was packed with aliens from across the galaxy, all waiting to hear the official decision about humanity's classification. The crystal being called Zephyr 9 floated above the central platform, its body glowing with soft blue light. After extensive study and testing, the Galactic Council has reached a decision about the human homeworld of Earth. Emma felt her heart beating faster. Everything humanity had worked for depended on what happened next. Earth is hereby classified as a Class 12 Deathworld, Zephyr 9 announced. This is the highest classification we have ever recorded. A wave of shocked sounds swept through the chamber. Several aliens made noises of disbelief. Others began talking rapidly in their own languages. Dan Foster, the biologist who had helped prepare Earth's presentation, stepped forward. Honored council members, we understand this classification is unusual, but we hope you will consider the benefits of having humans as allies. A large reptilian creature rose from its seat. I am General Krextar of the Krex Empire, it growled. Your species concerns us greatly. No intelligent life should be able to survive on a Class 12 world, yet you claim billions of humans live there comfortably. That is correct, Emma replied, but we come in peace. We want to learn from you and share what we know. What you know is how to live in hell, said another alien. This one looked like a walking tree with eyes that glowed green. Your presentation showed us creatures on your world that would be considered monsters anywhere else. Dan opened his folder and activated the holographic display. Images of Earth's wildlife appeared in the air above them. These are normal animals from our planet, he said. This is a great white shark. It can bite through steel. This is a grizzly bear. It weighs over 300 kilograms and can run faster than most vehicles. The aliens stared at the images in horror. This is a saltwater crocodile, Dan continued. It has remained virtually unchanged for millions of years because it is already a perfect predator. And this is a common house cat. Humans keep these as pets, even though they are efficient killers. Pets, squeaked a small alien that looked like a flying jellyfish. You share your homes with predators? Many humans do, Emma said. We have learned to live alongside dangerous creatures. It has taught us to be careful, but also brave. Zephyr 9 chimed softly. Show us these humans you speak of. We want to understand how your species developed. Dan switched to images of human history. These are early humans, he said, showing pictures of cave paintings and ancient tools. They lived during the Ice Age when most of our planet was covered in ice and snow. They survived by hunting animals much larger and stronger than themselves. The council watched as Dan showed images of humans hunting mammoths, building fires, and creating the first cities. Your ancestors were persistence hunters, observed a slug-like alien. We have studied this behavior. It requires incredible endurance and intelligence. Yes, Dan agreed. Humans can run for hours without stopping. We sweat to cool our bodies, which allows us to outlast almost any other animal. Our ancestors would chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. Barbaric, muttered General Krextar. Effective, corrected Emma. It taught us never to give up. When humans set a goal, we keep working toward it no matter how long it takes. A new alien stood up. This one had 6 arms and skin that changed colors as it spoke. I am Diplomat Veltaran of the Peaceful Coalition. We are concerned about human, military capabilities. Your tests showed that human soldiers can operate in environments that would kill our warriors instantly. Emma had been expecting this question. We understand your concerns, but humans prefer to solve problems through negotiation and cooperation. War is always our last choice. Yet you are very good at it, General Krextar growled. Your history shows thousands of years of warfare. Our history also shows thousands of years of learning from our mistakes, Emma replied. Each war taught us more about the costs of violence. Modern humans work hard to prevent conflicts. Dan activated another display. This is human medicine, he said. We have learned to fight diseases that would wipe out entire alien populations. We have cured cancers, repaired damaged organs, and extended human lifespans far beyond what should be possible for a species from a death world? How? Asked the tree-like alien. By studying our enemies, Dan explained. Humans have always faced deadly diseases and toxic substances. Instead of avoiding them, we learned to understand them. We found ways to turn poisons into medicines and weapons into tools. Zephyr 9 floated higher above the platform. The Council recognizes that humanity presents unique opportunities and challenges. Some members believe you could help us explore dangerous regions of space that have been off-limits for centuries. We would be honored to help, Emma said. Others believe you represent a threat that must be controlled or eliminated, the crystal being continued. General Krextar stepped forward. The Krex Empire votes for immediate containment. Humans should be restricted to their own solar system until we can better understand their capabilities. The Peaceful Coalition disagrees, said Diplomat Veltaran. We believe isolation would be both cruel and wasteful. Humans could be valuable allies. The debate that followed lasted for hours. Emma and Dan answered hundreds of questions about human biology, psychology, and culture. Some aliens seemed fascinated by humanity's potential. Others were clearly terrified. Finally, Zephyr 9 called for order. The Council will vote on 3 options. First, full membership in the Galactic Council with all rights and privileges. Second, restricted membership with humans limited to specific sectors of space. Third, quarantine, with humans forbidden to leave their solar system. Emma felt her stomach tighten. Humanity's future hung in the balance. The voting took place electronically, with each species representative entering their choice into the Council's computer system. Emma watched the display as numbers appeared next to each option. When the voting ended, Zephyr 9 announced the results. The Council has voted for restricted membership. Humans will be allowed to establish colonies in designated sectors and participate in trade and scientific exchange. However, human military vessels will be limited in number and monitored closely. Emma felt relief flood through her. It was not everything humanity had hoped for, but it was far better than quarantine. We accept these terms with gratitude, she said. Humanity looks forward to learning from our new neighbors. As the council session ended, several aliens approached Emma privately. Some offered congratulations and promises of cooperation. Others delivered warnings about factions that still considered humans too dangerous to trust. This is just the beginning, whispered Diplomat Veltaran. There are forces in the galaxy that will not accept humans no matter what the council decides. Be careful. Walking back to their quarters, Dan looked worried. Do you think we made the right choice? Maybe we should have stayed on Earth. Emma shook her head. Hiding was never an option. If we had refused to join the galactic community, they might have decided we were a threat anyway. At least now we have a chance to prove ourselves. And if we fail? Emma looked out at the stars through the station's viewport. Then we face whatever comes next. We're humans, Dan. It's what we do. Unknown to them, listening devices planted by various alien factions had recorded every word they said. Across the galaxy, military leaders and politicians were already making plans based on what they had learned about humanity. The classification was official now. Earth was a Class 12 death world, and its inhabitants were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Some aliens would try to use this knowledge to make humans into weapons. Others would try to eliminate the threat before it could grow stronger. But all of them had made the same mistake. They thought they understood what humans were capable of based on a few tests and presentations. They had no idea what happened when Deathworlders stopped holding back. Captain Roy Martinez guided his cargo ship through the asteroid field with practiced ease. The rocks spinning around his vessel would have terrified most alien pilots, but Roy had grown up flying through asteroid storms around Earth's moon. This was actually easier than the training runs he had done as a teenager. "Human vessel, you are entering a restricted zone," came a nervous voice over the radio. "Please change course immediately." Roy checked his navigation computer. "This is the Terra's Pride requesting permission to dock at Station Veltar 9. We have a scheduled delivery of medical supplies." "Impossible," the alien voice replied. "No ship can navigate the Veltar asteroid field. Our own vessels require computer guidance and take 6 hours to reach the station safely." "I'll be there in 20 minutes," Roy said cheerfully. "These asteroids aren't moving that fast." Behind him in the cargo hold, Megan Scott was reviewing her cultural exchange reports. As humanity's chief liaison officer, she had spent the past 3 months visiting different alien worlds and learning about their societies. The job was fascinating but also dangerous. Not all aliens were happy about humanity's presence in the galaxy. "Roy," Megan called over the ship's intercom, "are you seeing any unusual activity on the sensors?" "Define unusual," Roy replied. "There are 3 ships following us, but they're staying back about 2,000 kilometers. Could be pirates, could be military scouts." Megan frowned. This was the 4th time in 2 weeks that human ships had been followed by unknown vessels. "Keep an eye on them. I don't like the pattern we're seeing." 23 minutes later, Terra's Pride docked at the space station. The alien dock workers stared in amazement as Roy guided the large cargo ship into a parking space designed for much smaller vessels. He had to use thruster bursts and manual steering to avoid hitting the station, but he made it look easy. "Incredible," whispered the station manager, a crab-like alien named Clicktar. "Our pilots practiced for years to develop that level of skill." "Roy's been flying since he was 12, Megan explained as she helped unload the medical supplies. "Human children often learn to pilot vehicles before they're considered adults." "Children?" Clicktar's eye stalks moved in what Megan had learned was a sign of shock. "You allow children to control dangerous machinery?" "We start them with simple vehicles and gradually teach them more complex ones," Megan said. "By the time they're adults, flying is as natural as walking." The medical supplies they were delivering included drugs that could treat diseases common among the station's workers. Human medicine was becoming popular throughout the galaxy because it was designed to work in extreme conditions. Drugs that could keep humans alive on deathworlds were incredibly effective for treating ailments on safer planets. "These painkillers are amazing," said Dr. Velness, the station's chief medical officer. "One dose can eliminate pain that our strongest medicines barely touched." "Just be careful with the dosages," Megan warned. "Human medicine is designed for bodies that can handle intense stress. What heals us quickly might be dangerous for other species." While Megan worked with the medical team, Roy was talking to other pilots in the station's bar. The conversation was friendly, but he could sense an undercurrent of tension. "So it's true that humans can pilot ships manually through asteroid fields?" asked a pilot who looked like a cross between a dolphin and a bird. "Sure," Roy said. "It's actually kind of fun once you get the hang of it." "Fun?" The alien pilot's translator seemed to struggle with the word. "You find dangerous situations entertaining?" "Humans like challenges," Roy explained. "When something is difficult, it makes us want to try it even more." A larger alien with 4 arms leaned closer. "We have heard rumors that human military ships are being built in secret. Ships designed for war." Roy's friendly smile faded slightly. Humans prefer peace, but we do believe in being prepared to defend ourselves. Against what? Pressed the four-armed alien. Who would attack a species from a death world? Before Roy could answer, Megan's voice came over his personal communicator. Roy, we need to leave. Now. Back on their ship, Megan showed Roy the intelligence report she had just received from Chris Lee, humanity's top spy among the aliens. The news was disturbing. The Ravek Horde has been asking questions about human military capabilities, she read. They want to know if humans can be recruited as soldiers or if they need to be eliminated as a threat. Roy started the engine sequence as he listened. What about the other species? Are they all thinking the same thing? No, that's the good news. Many species are genuinely interested in friendship and trade, but there are at least 3 major factions that see us as either a weapon to be used or a problem to be solved. As Terra's Pride left the station, the 3 ships that had been following them moved closer. Roy kept an eye on the sensors while Megan tried to establish communication. Unknown vessels, this is the merchant ship Terra's Pride. Please identify yourselves. No response came, but the ships began to spread out in what looked like an attack. Formation. They're powering up weapons, Roy said calmly. Should I run or fight? Megan made a quick decision. Run! We're not military, and we need to report this to Earth Command. What happened next became legendary among alien pilots. Roy pushed his cargo ship to speeds that should have torn it apart, weaving through the asteroid field like it was an empty highway. The pursuing ships tried to follow, but were forced to slow down when they started taking damage from asteroid impacts. How is he doing that? One of the alien pilots radioed to his companions. He's flying by instinct, came the reply. No computer, guidance, no safety protocols. He's treating this like some kind of game. Within an hour, Terra's Pride had escaped the asteroid field and jumped to faster-than-light speed. The pursuing ships had given up after 2 of them suffered hull breaches from trying to match Roy's impossible maneuvers. Back on Earth, the incident report landed on the desk of Admiral Jack Hayes. The military leader read it twice before calling an emergency meeting with the other service chiefs. This is the 15th incident in 6 weeks, he told the assembled officers. Human ships are being followed. Human colonies are being watched. And now we have actual pursuit and attempted capture. General Steve Davis, the head of Earth's Marine Forces, studied the tactical reports. The pattern suggests they're testing our responses. They want to know how we react under pressure. Or they're looking for weaknesses, added Colonel Sarah Bell, the commander of Earth's Special Forces. Some of these incidents look like scouting missions. Dr. Claire Webb, the head of Earth's Research Division, had been analyzing the alien technology captured during various encounters. I've been studying their weapons and sensors, she said. Most alien military equipment is designed for use in controlled environments. They expect battles to happen in space or on peaceful worlds. What does that mean for us? Admiral Hayes asked. It means they have no idea how to fight a war against humans, Dr. Webb replied. Their tactics assume that enemies will follow certain rules and limitations. They've never faced an opponent that evolved in chaos. Meanwhile, on a secret base hidden in the outer rim of the galaxy, Warlord Krexvol of the Ravek Horde was reviewing the same reports. His species had conquered dozens of worlds through superior firepower and tactical discipline. They had never met an enemy they could not defeat. These humans interest me, he told his advisors. They show no fear of danger. They take risks that would terrify veteran warriors. If we could recruit them as soldiers, we could conquer the entire galaxy. "And if we cannot recruit them?" asked his second-in-command. Krexvol's claws scraped against the metal table. "Then we destroy them before they become a threat to us." The warlord had made a critical error. Like most aliens, he assumed that humans would behave according to the rules that governed other species. He thought that enough force would make humans surrender, or that the right offer would make them betray their own kind. He had no way of knowing that humans had a concept that was almost unknown in the galaxy. The idea that some things were worth dying for, and he was about to learn that when humans felt threatened, they did not surrender. They prepared for war. On Earth, the reports from space were causing panic in some government circles and grim determination in others. President Frank Miller called an emergency session of the United Nations Security Council. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, "it appears that humanity's honeymoon period with the galaxy is over. We need to decide how to respond to what appears to be a growing threat. The decision they reached would change everything. Humanity had tried diplomacy, trade, and cultural exchange. Now it was time to show the galaxy what Deathworlders could do when they stopped playing nice." Admiral Jack Hayes stood on the bridge of the battleship New Terra and watched the enemy fleet approach. 47 alien warships moved in perfect formation toward the human colony on Kepler 442b. The ships belonged to the Krex Empire, and they had come to test whether humans could really fight as well as they claimed. "Admiral," reported his communications officer, "the Krex fleet is demanding our immediate surrender. They say resistance is futile." Jack almost smiled. After months of tension and small skirmishes, the galaxy's major powers had finally decided to test humanity in open warfare. Several alien empires had agreed to support the Krex attack, while others had promised to help humanity. It was a proxy war that would determine humanity's place in the galactic community. "Send them our reply," Jack said. "Tell them that humans do not surrender." On the planet below, Colonel Steve Davis was preparing his Marines for what everyone knew would be a difficult battle. The Krex were experienced warriors who had conquered dozens of worlds. Their tactics were proven, their equipment was advanced, and they outnumbered the human defenders by more than 10 to 1. "Listen up," Steve told his troops. "The aliens think they know how to fight because they've beaten other aliens, but they've never fought humans before. They expect us to follow their rules, use their tactics, and break when things get tough." The Marines looked confident despite the odds. These were volunteers who had trained for exactly this kind of situation. Many of them had served in Earth's military during the resource wars of the 2040s. They knew how to fight in impossible conditions. "What they don't understand," Steve continued, "is that humans wrote the book on impossible battles. We're going to show them why Earth is called a death world." In space, the first shots of the battle were being fired. The Krex fleet opened up with energy weapons that could punch through the armor of any known alien warship. They expected the human ships to explode or retreat immediately. Instead, the human ships charged straight toward them. "Impossible," muttered Krex Admiral Velkron as he watched the tactical display. "They should be running. Our weapons are tearing their ships apart." What the Krex Admiral did not understand was that human warships were built differently than alien vessels. Where alien ships prioritized comfort and efficiency, human ships were designed to keep fighting even when heavily damaged. They had backup systems for their backup systems, and their crews were trained to repair battle damage while under fire. Fighter pilot Amy Bell led her squadron in an attack run against the largest Krex battleship. The alien point defense systems opened fire, filling space with deadly energy beams. Most alien pilots would have turned back or tried to find a safer approach. Amy flew straight through the defensive fire. "This is insane," her wingman radioed. "We're taking hits on every ship." "Keep going," Amy replied calmly. "Their computers can't track our movement patterns. We're too unpredictable." She was right. The Krek's defense systems had been programmed to counter the careful, methodical attack patterns used by other alien species. They had no idea how to deal with human pilots who flew by instinct, changed direction randomly, and seemed to ignore their own safety. Amy's squadron reached the battleship and began attacking its weapon systems. Within minutes, they had knocked out 6 of the ship's main guns. Down on the planet, the Krek's landing force was discovering that fighting humans on the ground was even more difficult than fighting them in space. The aliens had studied human military history and thought they understood human tactics. They were wrong. Human warfare had been shaped by thousands of years of fighting on a world where everything was trying to kill you. Human soldiers expected to be outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. They had learned to turn every disadvantage into an advantage. Lieutenant Rick Stone led a squad of Special Forces soldiers against a Krek's landing site. The aliens had established a defensive perimeter around their ships with overlapping fields of fire and sensor coverage. It should have been impossible to approach without being detected. Rick's team attacked from underground. "Humans are insane," reported the Krek's ground commander as explosions erupted throughout his camp. "They dug tunnels through solid rock to get behind our defenses." "Tunnels?" replied Admiral Velcron from orbit. "How long would that take?" "Our engineers estimate it would require several days of work with heavy machinery." "Then how did they do it?" The ground commander had no answer. He did not know that humans had been digging defensive tunnels for thousands of years, or that modern human soldiers carried portable drilling equipment specifically designed for rapid excavation. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Kreks had superior numbers and firepower, but humans had superior adaptability and determination. Every time the aliens thought they had figured out human tactics, the humans changed their approach. When Krek's fighters began intercepting human attack runs, the humans started using their cargo ships as guided missiles. When Krek's ground forces adapted to tunnel attacks, human soldiers began dropping from orbit without parachutes, using personal thrusters to land behind enemy lines. "They fight without honor," complained one Krek's officer. "They used tricks and deception instead of meeting us in honest battle." Admiral Velcron was beginning to understand that humans had a completely different concept of warfare. "They are not fighting for honor," he realized. "They are fighting to win." The turning point came when diplomat Paul Green managed to convince 3 neutral alien species to openly support humanity. The arrival of Zephyrian and Vextar reinforcements tipped the balance of the space battle, while supplies from the thoughtful collective allowed human ground forces to continue fighting, despite heavy casualties. "This was supposed to be a simple demonstration of Krek's superiority," Admiral Velcron said to his staff. "How did it become a general war?" His intelligence officer had been studying human diplomatic records. "The humans have been building alliances for months," he reported. "They convinced other species that a Krek's victory would threaten everyone's independence. Impossible. We made no threats against anyone except the humans. The humans argued that any species capable of conquering Deathworlders could conquer anyone. They made our strength appear to be a threat to galactic peace." Admiral Velcron finally understood how completely he had underestimated his enemy. Humans were not just tough fighters. They were also skilled diplomats who had turned a local conflict into a galactic crisis. But the most shocking discovery was still to come. During the final phase of the battle, human medic Kate Sullivan was treating wounded soldiers from both sides. The Kreks had expected humans to execute prisoners or leave enemy wounded to die. Instead, they found human medical teams working to save alien lives with the same dedication they showed to their own people. "Why do you help us?" asked a wounded Krek soldier. "We came here to destroy you." Kate continued bandaging his wounds. "Because you're hurt and I can help. That's what medics do." The alien soldier stared at her in confusion. "But we are enemies." "Right. Now you're a patient," Kate replied. "I'll worry about the enemy part later." Word of human medical treatment for enemy wounded spread quickly through the Kreks fleet. Many alien soldiers had never encountered the human concept of showing mercy to defeated enemies. It was more disturbing to them than human ferocity in battle. "They are not like us," Admiral Velcron told his superiors after the battle ended in a stalemate. "They fight with incredible determination, but they also show compassion to those who cannot fight back. I do not understand this species." Proxy War had answered some questions about human military capabilities, but it had raised even more questions about human nature. How could the same species that charged through impossible defensive fire also risk their lives to save enemy wounded? As news of the battle spread throughout the galaxy, different species drew different conclusions. Some saw humans as natural allies who could be trusted to fight beside them. Others saw them as dangerous unknowns whose motivations could not be predicted. But all of them understood that the galactic balance of power had changed forever. Humans had proven they could fight a modern war against advanced opponents, and not only survive, but force their enemies to retreat. More importantly, they had shown that they could build alliances with other species based on mutual respect and shared values. For the first time in galactic history, a species from a death world was offering friendship instead of conquest. The proxy war was over, but the real test was just beginning. Some alien empires would try to form partnerships with humanity. Others would see human success as an existential threat that had to be eliminated. Admiral Jack Hayes knew this as he surveyed the damage to his fleet. "This was just the opening move," he told his staff. "Now they know we can fight. The question is, what will they do about it?" The answer would come sooner than anyone expected. Deep in space, the most powerful and ruthless empire in the galaxy was preparing to test whether Deathworlders could survive a war of total annihilation. The emergency sirens on Earth had been wailing for 6 hours when General Marcus Stone received the message that changed everything. The Ravek Horde, the galaxy's most feared military empire, had launched a full-scale invasion fleet toward Earth. 2,000 warships were heading for humanity's homeworld with the stated goal of wiping out the human species entirely. "They want to eliminate us before we become a bigger threat," Marcus told the assembled military commanders in the Pentagon's war room. "This isn't a proxy war or a territorial dispute. This is attempted genocide." President Frank Miller appeared on the main screen from his secure bunker. "General Stone, I'm authorizing Protocol 7. All restraints are removed. Show them what humans can do when we stop holding back." Protocol 7 was humanity's ultimate contingency plan. For months, human leaders had been careful to appear peaceful and reasonable to their alien neighbors. They had followed galactic conventions for warfare, tried to minimize casualties, and shown mercy to defeated enemies. They had done everything possible to prove that humans could be trusted members of the galactic community. Now the gloves were coming off. Dr. Claire Webb had been waiting for this moment. Her research team had spent months studying alien technology and psychology, looking for weaknesses that could be exploited if humanity's survival was threatened. The data she had collected was about to become humanity's most valuable weapon. Their ships are designed for battles between civilized species, she reported to the War Council. They expect enemies to follow certain rules. No attacks on civilian targets, no use of certain weapons, no fighting in specific environments. What happens when we ignore those rules? Asked Admiral Jack Hayes. Their entire tactical doctrine falls apart, Claire replied. They have no experience fighting an enemy that refuses to play by galactic conventions. Captain Luke Adams was already preparing to demonstrate this principle. His ship, the destroyer Earth's Wrath, had been damaged in an earlier battle and was barely operational. Under normal circumstances, he would have retreated for repairs. Instead, he was heading straight for the center of the Ravek fleet. "Sir," his navigation officer said nervously, "our weapons are offline, our shields are failing, and we're leaking atmosphere. We should withdraw." Luke checked the ship's status one more time. "We still have engines and we still have mass. That's all we need." What Luke was planning violated every rule of space warfare. Deliberately ramming an enemy ship was considered a war crime by most galactic civilizations. It was wasteful, barbaric, and unnecessarily destructive. It was also incredibly effective. Luke's ship slammed into the Ravek flagship at nearly the speed of light. The impact destroyed both vessels instantly, but it also sent a message that spread throughout the enemy fleet. Humans would rather die than surrender. "Impossible," whispered Ravek Admiral Krexvoll as he watched his command ship explode. No, rational species would sacrifice a ship and crew for such a small tactical advantage. "The humans are not rational," replied his intelligence officer. "Our psychological profiles were based on other galactic species. Humans operate according to different principles." The Admiral was beginning to understand that he had made a terrible mistake. He had assumed that threatening Earth would make humans retreat or negotiate. Instead, it had triggered a response unlike anything in galactic military history. Down on Earth's surface, Colonel Sarah Bell was leading a desperate defense against Ravek landing forces. The aliens had managed to establish several beachheads despite humanity's orbital defenses. Their ground troops were advancing on major cities with orders to kill every human they found. Sarah's Marines were outnumbered 50-1, but they were fighting on their home planet. They knew every street, every building, and every place where an ambush could be set. More importantly, they were fighting for their families. "Remember," Sarah told her troops, "these aliens think Earth is just another world to conquer. They have no idea what it's like to fight humans who are protecting their home." The Ravek soldiers had expected to face organized military resistance that could be overwhelmed with superior firepower. Instead, they found themselves fighting an entire planet. Human civilians who had never held weapons were building bombs. In their basements, children were carrying messages between resistance groups. Elderly people were setting traps in their neighborhoods. "This is not warfare," reported a Ravek ground commander. "This is madness. The entire human population is fighting us." "Are they soldiers?" asked Admiral Krexvoll. "We cannot tell. Everyone we encounter shows hostile intent. Even their young and old fight with weapons. How do we distinguish between military and civilian targets when there are no civilians?" The Admiral had no answer. Ravek doctrine was based on conquering species that had clear distinctions between soldiers and non-combatants. They had never fought a species where every individual was a potential warrior. In space, the battle was becoming even more chaotic. Human ships were ignoring traditional formation, flying and engaging in what could only be described as three-dimensional guerrilla warfare. They attacked from impossible angles, used debris as weapons, and seemed to have no concern for their own safety. Fighter pilot Amy Bell was leading her squadron in an attack on a Ravek battleship when her engines were hit by enemy fire. Instead of ejecting, she used her damaged fighter as a guided missile, steering it directly into the battleship's bridge. "Another human pilot has committed suicide to damage our ship," reported a Ravek captain. "They show no regard for their own survival." "It is not suicide," Admiral Krexval realized with growing horror. "They are trading their lives for tactical advantages. They value victory more than survival." This was the concept that alien military thinkers could not grasp. Most galactic species fought to achieve specific goals: territory, resources, or political advantage. They retreated when the cost became too high, and they surrendered when defeat became inevitable. Humans fought differently. When their survival was threatened, they were willing to pay any price for victory. Death in battle was preferable to extinction as a species. The turning point came when Dr. Claire Webb's research team activated Project Darwin. For months, they had been developing new weapons based on Earth's most dangerous life forms. The alien. Invaders were about to discover what happened when humans stopped trying to be civilized. Clouds of genetically modified bacteria were released into the Ravek ships. The microorganisms had been designed to eat through alien metal and circuitry while being harmless to humans. Within hours, enemy ships began losing power and life support. "Our ships are being consumed by some kind of biological weapon," reported a panicked Ravek engineer. "The organisms are breaking down our hull material at the molecular level. Biological weapons are forbidden by galactic law," Admiral Krexval protested. "Humans do not seem to care about galactic law," his intelligence officer replied. "They are using every weapon available to them." But the most terrifying discovery was yet to come. As Ravek ground forces retreated from Earth's cities, they began to notice something strange about human behavior. Instead of celebrating their victories, human soldiers were displaying a level of protective aggression that no alien psychologist had ever documented. Marine Sergeant Pete Jackson had been wounded while defending a school full of children. Even with 2 broken ribs and a damaged arm, he continued to fight any Ravek soldier who came near the building. "Why does he not retreat for medical treatment?" asked a Ravek observer. "He is clearly injured and could be replaced by healthy soldiers. He has formed an emotional bond with the young humans in that building," explained the Ravek xenopsychologist. "Human protective instincts override rational behavior when their offspring are threatened. But those are not his offspring. Our genetic scans show no familial relationship. It does not matter. Humans will protect any young of their species as if they were their own. They will die before allowing harm to come to their children." This revelation sent shockwaves through the Ravek command structure. Most galactic species showed strong protective behavior toward their own immediate family groups, but they had limited concern for unrelated individuals. Humans seem to consider all human children worthy of protection, regardless of genetic relationship. "They are not fighting for territory or resources," Admiral Krexval told his superiors via subspace communication. They are fighting for the survival of their entire species. Every human considers every other human to be family. The response from Ravek High Command was immediate. Withdraw all forces. This species is too dangerous to engage directly, but it was too late. The human counterattack had already begun. Ships that had been hidden throughout the solar system emerged from behind asteroids and moons. Ground forces that had been pretending to retreat suddenly turned and attacked the withdrawing Ravek troops. General Marcus Stone watched the tactical display as human forces closed in on the enemy fleet. "They came here to commit genocide," he said grimly. "Now they're going to learn why that was a mistake." The Battle of Earth lasted 18 hours. When it was over, the Ravek invasion fleet had been completely destroyed. Not a single enemy ship escaped to report what they had learned about human warfare. But the victory came at a terrible cost. Thousands of human soldiers had... Dr. Kevin Torres had never expected to become one of the galaxy's most important scientists, but his research into human psychology was changing everything. 6 months after the Battle of Earth, aliens across the galaxy were displaying behaviors that their own species had never seen before. It started with the Vextar, Kevin explained to the assembled researchers at the Galactic Institute. After fighting alongside humans for several months, their soldiers began showing what we call pack bonding behavior. The holographic display showed footage of Vextar warriors working with human marines. The insect-like aliens, who had previously been cold and calculating, were now displaying emotional attachments to their human teammates that their psychologists could not explain. Warrior Kextal has refused 3 promotions because he does not want to leave his human squad, Kevin continued. When asked why, he said that humans had taught him the meaning of loyalty. In the audience, alien scientists shifted uncomfortably. The idea that humans could change the fundamental behavior patterns of other species was deeply disturbing to many of them. Commander Rachel Stone stood at the back of the lecture hall, listening to Kevin's presentation with interest. As the leader of the first integrated human-alien military unit, she had seen these changes firsthand. Her battalion now included soldiers from 6 different species, all of whom had learned to fight using human tactics and human values. The most significant change, Kevin continued, is in their approach to casualties. Before working with humans, most alien military units would retreat if they suffered losses above 10%. Now, many alien soldiers will continue fighting, even when their units are reduced to less than half strength. "Are you saying that humans have made other species more violent?" asked Dr. Veltar, a crystalline researcher who had been studying the phenomenon. "Not more violent," Kevin replied. "More determined. Humans have taught them that some things are worth fighting for, even when the odds are against you." This was exactly what Rachel had observed during the siege of Colony Beta 7. Her mixed-species unit had been surrounded by pirates who demanded surrender. In the past, the alien soldiers would have laid down their weapons to avoid unnecessary casualties. Instead, they had fought for 3 days until reinforcements arrived. "The humans would not abandon us," explained Sergeant Velkris, a Zephyrian who had been wounded in the battle. "So we did not abandon them." The concept of mutual loyalty between different species was revolutionary. For thousands of years, galactic military alliances had been based on shared interests or mutual benefit. The idea that soldiers from different worlds would risk their lives for each other out of personal attachment was almost unknown. But the changes went beyond military units. On colony worlds where humans and aliens lived together, entirely new social structures were emerging. On New Harmony, a joint human thoughtful collective settlement, the slug-like aliens had begun adopting human customs that their elders found shocking. Young, thoughtful collective members were forming emotional bonds with humans that lasted for decades instead of the temporary partnerships their species normally practiced. "My human friend Jake has taught me about permanence," explained one young alien named Deep Current Thinking. "Humans believe that relationships should endure through difficulties rather than dissolving when problems arise." This behavior was spreading throughout the colony. Aliens who had never experienced long-term emotional attachments were forming friendships, romantic partnerships, and even adoptive family relationships with humans and other species. "It's like a virus," worried Elder Mind of Ancient Waters. "These human concepts are infecting our young people and changing them into something we do not recognize." But the changes were not limited to social behavior. Alien scientists working with humans were making breakthroughs that their species had considered impossible. Dr. Zephyr 12 had spent her entire career studying mathematics within the rigid frameworks that Zephyrian science demanded. Then she began working with human mathematician Dr. Sarah Kim, who approached problems with what Zephyrians considered dangerous creativity. "Humans do not accept that some problems cannot be solved," Zephyr 12 reported to her research council. "When faced with mathematical impossibilities, they simply change their approach until they find a solution." The collaboration had led to discoveries in faster-than-light travel that revolutionized galactic transportation. Ships using human-inspired engineering could now cross the galaxy in weeks instead of months. But perhaps the most dramatic changes were happening in alien military doctrine. Species that had fought using the same tactics for centuries were adopting human strategies that their ancestors would have considered dishonorable. General Krexdar of the Krex Empire had been studying human military history for months. His superiors had ordered him to find ways to counter human tactics, but instead he had become convinced that his own species needed to learn from their former enemies. "Humans fight as if every battle could be their last," he explained to his staff. "They use every advantage available to them, regardless of tradition or convention. This makes them nearly impossible to defeat." Krexdar had begun training his soldiers using human methods. Instead of rigid formation fighting, they learned to adapt to changing conditions. Instead of following predetermined battle plans, they learned to think creatively under pressure. The results were dramatic. Krex units trained in human tactics were defeating pirate fleets that had previously been considered unstoppable. Their casualty rates had dropped while their effectiveness had increased dramatically. "We have become better soldiers by learning from humans," Krexdar reported. "But we have also become something different from what we were before." This transformation was causing political upheaval throughout the galaxy. Some alien leaders welcomed the changes, seeing them as improvements that made their species stronger and more capable. Others viewed human influence as a threat to traditional culture and values. On the Vextar homeworld, a heated debate was raging in their planetary council. "These changes are making us stronger," argued Commander Kexvor, who had fought alongside humans during the Ravek invasion. "Our soldiers are more effective, our scientists are more innovative, and our society is more unified." "But we are losing what makes us Vextar," replied Elder Kexnol. "Our young people speak of human concepts like family honor and never leave a soldier behind. These ideas are foreign to our nature. Perhaps our nature needs to change," Kexvor replied. "The galaxy is a dangerous place. Humans have shown us how to survive and thrive in conditions that would have destroyed us." Similar debates were happening on dozens of worlds. The question was not whether human influence was changing alien societies. That was obvious to everyone. The question was whether these changes were beneficial or harmful. Some species embraced the transformation completely. The Peaceful Coalition had officially adopted human concepts of individual rights and mutual protection as core principles. Their society was becoming more dynamic and resilient as a result. Other species tried to limit human contact to prevent cultural contamination. The rigid order had banned humans from their territory and forbidden their citizens from accessing human media or literature. But the most dramatic changes were happening among species that tried to find a middle ground. They wanted the military and technological advantages that came from working with humans, but they also wanted to preserve their traditional culture. This created what xenosociologists called hybrid cultures, societies that combined alien traditions with human innovations in unexpected ways. The Crystalline Confederacy had developed a new form of art that combined their traditional sonic sculptures with human musical concepts. The result was beautiful and alien, but it was also completely unlike anything either species had created before. "We are becoming something new," explained artist of harmonic structures. "Not human, not crystalline, but a combination that is stronger than either alone." This was the pattern that was emerging throughout the galaxy. Species that worked closely with humans were not becoming human themselves, but they were becoming something different from what they had been before. They were becoming stronger, more adaptable, and more capable of surviving in a dangerous universe. Dr. Kevin Torres called this phenomenon evolutionary acceleration. Humans were not just changing alien behavior, they were speeding up the process by which species adapted to new challenges. Evolution normally takes thousands of years, he explained. But when species learn from humans, they can develop new capabilities in just a few generations. The implications were staggering. If this pattern continued, the entire galaxy could be transformed within a few decades. Alien species that learned from humans would become more successful than those that did not. Eventually, human-influenced traits would spread throughout galactic civilization. But not everyone was happy about this prospect. Deep in space, representatives from dozens of species were meeting in secret to discuss what they called the human problem. "They are changing everything," complained Ambassador Veltrock of the Static Empire. "Our traditional ways of life are being destroyed by their influence." "Worse," added General Krexnal, "species that work with humans are